Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is March the 12th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing all right. Today was a day, I would say, yet again, you know how when I start up this way, where I'm usually going to get at. The overall structure of the day, it was good. It was solid. We had a couple of bad spots, a couple of little crash outs that I kind of felt like I had to have. And especially the one really soured like the whole day because it was just at the top of it. I got into like a weird, dumb conversation with a friend, and they just said something to me that I deemed out of pocket. And I mean, y'all know me at this point. I really am just not down to let it lie. That's something I did a lot more when I was younger, and I think I still try to work on it because I don't want to just be like a belligerent. I don't want to just come out the gate swinging or coming out too hard. Like, that's not the point. But I'm also an old dog at this point at 34, and I just feel like it's like, oh, if you're completely missing the thing and it's almost to a disrespectful level, then I need to call it out. I need to just say it. I don't care. So, that just really soured my, and the worst thing was too, it like balance was restored. The conversation was fine. This is where it falls back on me and like myself, like solely and how I handle it. Like I just knew the conversation was over, but I just couldn't let go of the energy. It just kind of sat with me for the whole day. It's like, when you dirty up some water, you just can't clean it. There's no filter to make it completely clean, at least in the situation. So I was just in a foul mood for most of the day, but we tried to thug it out. And then another conversation with another friend pops up. And this was kind of like a thing that I had let sit in a way for, a while. And the person's like, do we got a problem? Like, more or less. And it's like, yeah, dude, we got a fucking problem. If you want to mention it, if you want to fucking make, a deal about it, yeah, we can have a summit right here and now. But I also didn't want to do that. I called it out and then said, hey, I don't want to have this conversation today. I was just not in the mood. So I let a couple hours go by, and I then came back to the conversation and at least said my 2 cents, and I left it at that. So that's how my day went, y'all. Like, it's just one of those things where but overall it was good. We had a treat day at work. They gave us some popcorn. Apparently that was a whole fucking mistake because I gained a whole pound off of eating one little bag of popcorn. I'm sure there's some other extenuating circumstances to make it so. So that was a bummer. And then also we went to the gym, and usually the gym's a good turnaround point, good turning point for me. I usually flip it and reverse it there, but I just couldn't get out of the funk. I got about like halfway through my weight training, and I knew I wasn't going to lock it in. I knew I wasn't going to like continue going hard. I was like, no, we're doing smaller reps. Like I can't, I'm not here. And then even on my cardio, I just felt like sloppier and I did less. So, maybe that's part of the reason why we kept a pound on. I don't fucking know, y'all. It's a bummer because, I'm too focused on the scale. I know that. But it is something that sometimes I really hope that's going to like turn the tide for my day now, at least nowadays. So when I don't see the progress that I want, I can definitely beat myself up a little bit more. But I will say that, like, in the process of just being home, doing my research for the episode and everything, the another classic thing happened, and this is where the turnaround came, where I'm like, Isaiah, you're fine. Isaiah, this was a good day. So you said your 2 cents, so be it. Good. You know what I mean? If things are good, awesome with that person. If things are bad with the other person, fine. Fuck it. I don't care. I really don't. There are worse things going on in the world. There are better things to look forward to in my own goddamn life anyway. I don't need to stew. I don't need to dwell on this. So, here we are. I would say I'm in a better place and a better mood. So let's go ahead and do our startup, and we'll go ahead and get into some news. I will say, though, too, I still have that, like, I don't know, rotator cuff injury thingy going on. Injury's a bit dramatic. It's tender. I still don't feel super great there. But overall, we were able to manage, and I don't even think that was the reason why I didn't go as hard as I wanted to at the gym. I think I just really was just not in the mental to be like, oh, I want to max, like, and maybe to some extent that might be a good thing. I feel like even though I've said this before in another episode, a little ways back, like ego lifting is a thing that I shouldn't do, but I just want to a lot of times. I want to try to be at my max because I think that that's going to make, the reps the best, right? And some people say that that's true, and I do overall agree with it, but that doesn't mean that I that's the only way and I have to do that every day. Also, those same people are like, hey, you should take days off, and I don't take days off, so, there's maybe room for adaptation, improvement, what have you, but anyway, I'm talking a little too, I'm yapping a bit too much. All right. Ooh. Our first story comes from The Independent. Greenland election won by center-right party who told Trump we are not for sale. Greenland's center-right opposition party, which told U.S. President Donald Trump that the country was not for sale, has emerged victorious in the country's parliamentary elections. The Democratic Party secured 29.9% of the vote, ending the ruling coalition's majority, officials results show. Now, I just want to pause here to say, and this is something I've made a quip about before, and I'm sure I'll do again. I hate when you have a party that is, once again, cloaked itself in democracy or liberalism or whatever, but they're not. Like, they are a center-right party. If I hadn't come to this article and I just listened to what I heard on, Start Here, I would have just assumed a Democratic Party took over, and that's not the fucking case. So in that regard, it's a bit annoying. That being said, I guess it could be an alt-right party or something to that effect, but I think definitely Trump has had a hand in this election, much like he's having a hand in Canada's, where it's like, you can't look like that guy. If you look like that guy, the guy who's saying, hey, I want to come take your country, it looks bad. It's egg on your face already, and that's expensive, no? So at the end of the day, this kind of milder option, especially it's like, yeah, the Democratic Party. And not to mention, I want to read this part too. Jens Frederick Nielsen, Democratic's leader and former badminton champion. Oh, wow. I shouldn't badmouth badminton. Is poised to play a key role in shaping Greenland's future. Mr. Nielsen has been an outspoken critic of foreign interference, particularly in response to Mr. Trump's suggestion that the U.S. could purchase the Arctic island. Actually, that's not where I wanted to get to. This is it. The pro-business party, which supports a gradual approach to independence from Denmark, saw a sharp rise in support from 9.1% in the previous election. It outperformed the opposition Nælrak party, which advocates for a swift break from Denmark. Which I think if it was me picking who I'd want to win here, if I could play Kingmaker, I'd want this party to win. Because when you ask a lot of people in Denmark, that's what they want. They want to be independent. They don't want to be Danish. They don't want to be American. They just want to be Greenlanders. That this is their land and they want to keep it. But at the end of the day, Denmark is wanting to keep them for the resources. And not to mention with all the goddamn climate change, that's a big reason why, Trump wanted it before, when he was first, president, but he wants it, even more so now. China, big superpowers want this area for the resources. They want in on that loot. And essentially, Greenland just wants to be Greenland. But I think that they are also stuck in a situation where if they are left out in the cold without, Denmark, without strong potential U.S. support, because that's what some people want. It's like, hey, we don't want to necessarily be American, but we almost don't mind being up underneath America. You know what I mean? We could be in that nice bosom and kind of, make our thing, but as long as we're ourselves. And to obviously to an extent, I get that. I understand that, but it's hard to kind of have your cake and eat it too in that way, right? But hey, that is the pickle that they're in, right? It's a rock and a hard place. And at the end of the day, you just want to be free. And I personally, this podcast supports independence. If that's what you want, you should get that. But I also, once again, understand that when they go to the polls and actually vote, it can get a little bit fucking complicated. So I'm not surprised to see a center-right party that's at least selling you as slow drip, But I mean, I really would like to see what that timeline looks like. But I mean, hey, if it's giving you more autonomy over time, that's great. That's awesome. But yeah, it's weird that this Trump effect is so palpable. That it's affecting other elections. You know what I mean? I felt like post his first term or during his first term, you had a lot of just lookalikes, and that was kind of how that was affected. It's like, oh, we see how this is the populism that works, right? This is what's good. This is good for the gander. People eat this up, and I think that overall they were right. But now it seems like, hey, you need to position yourself in some way that like you can stand up to Donald Trump, right? Like you have to at least present that one way or another, no matter who you are, what party you're coming from. So yeah, interesting development coming out of Greenland. I guess shout out to the Democratic Party, even though I'm like, you're center right, boo, you're gross, yucky. But yeah, let's move on. We kind of mentioned Canada. We got to talk about it some more. And the trade wars. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. I don't know what any more money sounds. From ABC News. Canada, Europe hit back after U.S. metal tariffs kick in. The European Union and Canada announced retaliatory tariffs on Wednesday after Trump administration's metal duties went into effect, broadening a trade war with several of America's top trading partners. The U.S. at midnight began imposing 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports from all trading partners, with no exceptions or exemptions, the White House said. The S&P 500 and tech-heavy NASDAQ closed higher on Wednesday despite the trade tensions. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed slightly lower. So they still had taken that hit from earlier in the week, the whole whiplash situation from, the tariffs, potentially getting kicked and then being like paused, which is another reason why I wanted to come back to this, because I thought we were waiting until like April for these to come into effect. But I guess that's only some of them. And these are, coming into place, I believe, at midnight tonight. So they'll be for like Thursday. Officials representing the European Union said member states would place countermeasures on some 26 billion euros, or about 28 billion US dollars worth of US goods. Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission, said in a statement that the EU must protect consumers and business. Also, it's worth noting, it's an aside, it's not mentioned in this article, but the UK has not done any retaliatory tariffs. That's worth mentioning because they are not a part of the EU. They did the old jolly good Brexit, and boo for that. That was a dumb move. But essentially, they're trying to play it cool, and Keir Starmer's fucking professor looking ass came through. And he's like, hey, no, we're working on a trade deal. We're working on it. Which I'm thinking to myself, motherfucker, didn't Canada and Mexico have a trade deal that Trump set up in his first fucking term that is going to shit now? Like, okay, sure. Yeah, keep betting on that one. Jolly good. But yeah, they're leaning on that, and they're saying, hey, we're not going to respond. But the EU has said, hey, we're going to match you more or less band for band. When it comes to Canada, they are putting a $20.7 billion, which that's the USD, 29.8 billion Canadian dollars, or about 20.7 billion USD in U.S. goods expected to be imported. Government officials said the U.S. Imports more steel and aluminum from Canada than any other country. Another row that was taking place was, I believe, the mayor, governor, whatever, of fucking Ontario was talking about, hey, you guys, we have electric interests in the U.S., and we're going to shut them down. We're going to suspend them. And then Trump was like, oh, if you do that, I'm going to tariff you guys even harder. And then they came to some kind of, resolution to that, where they both dropped their swords on the issue. But that being said, obviously this metal tariff is still coming into play. So, good that they're at least standing on business as well and saying, hey, no, we're going to fucking retaliate. We're going to give you a tariff back. And Trump, I imagine, he said, hey, I will match it. I will continue to raise these tariffs if you keep tariffing us. But it's like, motherfucker, you're the top of the daisy chain here. You're the one setting this off. So, I mean, who knows how long and how rough this could get, how bad it could get. I mean, time's gonna fucking tell. Let me read a little bit more here. It's worth noting, the Canadian tariffs will begin at 12:01 a.m. on Thursday. LeBlanc said. They were designed to be proportional to the U.S. tariff. So essentially, they're locking it in. When I initially heard this, I thought it was going to be a Thursday in the future, and it's like, no. We're lockstep with you. We're parallel here. European measures were also designed to match the scope of those U.S. tariffs, which the European Union said would be about 28 billion USD. The countermeasures were expected to begin on April 1st and be fully in place by April 13th, the commission said. So maybe that's what I heard, and I thought maybe it was just going to be both of them. In the meantime, we will remain open to negotiation, von der Leyen said. I guess it's also worth noting, too, I haven't heard anything, at least as of like recently from Mexico. But, I mean, Sheinbaum has been seemingly holding her own against Trump. They get on the phone or they talk, and more or less Trump kind of comes off like, okay, I'm listening, I'm entertaining what they're saying, okay, we're all right. But then obviously the tariffs are still like, coming down the pipe. But I think some of those goods are still going to be on hold. I haven't heard anything. This is more or less just about the metal shit, the steel and aluminum. Also, have y'all heard how the people in the UK say aluminum? They be saying aluminium, and I'm like, that's funny. That's funny. Anyway, let's move along. Let's take it to Pakistan. We got an update on the train hostage situation. Once again from Al Jazeera. Pakistan says more than 300 hostages rescued from hijacked train. Pakistan's military says at least 346 hostages have been freed from a passenger train that was hijacked by separatist fighters in Balochistan province in the country's southwest. A military spokesperson said the rescue operation has concluded on Wednesday and that all 33 attackers were killed. At least 27 hostages and one paramilitary soldier were killed over the course of the standoff, security sources told Al Jazeera. So sorry if in the previous episode that I got the numbers wrong. I think I'd read the 33 being killed, and I wasn't sure who that was related to. Like, whose side was that on? I didn't know that was all of the attackers. The separatists who were involved in the hostage situation. So yeah, it was worth bringing that numerical update up. It's seemingly at least this chapter is closed for here, but obviously the BLA has seemingly been very active and will probably continue to be. So yeah, I mean, there's more details here, but obviously if you feel inclined, you can always read that, catch back up. I know we talked about it a bit in a previous episode anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to our last story for the day. But let's take our last break and we will close it out. I'm hoping this loads for me. It's taking its sweet time, but hopefully by the time we're revved up and ready to go, should be good. Oh boy. All right. From ABC News, 6 American prisoners in Kuwait released, land back in U.S., representatives says. 6 Americans who are imprisoned in Kuwait have been released in an agreement with the United States. A representative for their families confirmed to ABC News. The Americans, many of whom are veterans and former military contractors, were convicted on drug charges. Jonathan Franks, a crisis management consultant, said. For years, however, the prisoners have vigorously maintained their innocence, Franks said. Several more prisoners are expected to be freed in the coming weeks as part of the agreement. This morning, the Kuwaiti government released 6 of my clients as part of an agreement that will ultimately free 15 of my clients in short order. Each was convicted on drug charges, and each vigorously maintains their innocence, Frank said. Convictions for possession of drugs in Kuwait may include long jail sentences or the death penalty, according to an advisory by the U.S. State Department. According to the U.S. Embassy of Kuwait website, American citizens are subject to Kuwait's laws and regulations. Those laws can differ significantly from those in the United States, and the U.S. government may only be able to offer limited assistance to those charged. Let's see here. Yeah, that's pretty much it there. But yeah, this was good. These people were, I believe, from the article, Americans, not just to mention, I believe like military, or at least attached, whatever. We're in the weeds a little bit here, but yeah, former military contractors. That's the words I was looking for there. It's kind of like a little bit of a Nephilim there, a little bit of a hybrid, right? But good that we got him home. You know what I mean? Whether the drug charges were bogus or not, whatever. That's neither here nor there. No, they're home now. That's good. And that's part of this whole Donald Trump thing. At least the good vibes part of it is like he's trying to get as many Americans home as possible. Though it's arguable that that's every fucking president. You know what I mean? And if it's Joe Biden freeing Brittany Griner, oh, that's a thug, da 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 da, blah 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 blah. But like, if it's Donald Trump, oh well, it's good you got our boys and girls back home. Our military boys and girls, or military contractor boys and girls. The contractor to me it's a very important part there. But anyway, that's where I'll leave it for today. That'll be the episode. I gotta say, if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening to me yap and moan about my precious little life. I really do appreciate that. I really appreciate you not just listening to that, but also enduring my poor, shitty rendition of the happenings of the world. You're a real champ. But yeah. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Feel free to follow or hit me up on my email, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. It's a free way to hit me up. That's what I was trying to say. And then other free ways to contact me, interact with me, the socials, the Meta, the X. If you're subscribed to the YouTube, that's the best. No, that's actually a shitty social medium, but that's neither here nor there. It does help my algorithm though. It does potentially help get me monetized if you subscribe. It's the road to 500. We are 1/5 of the way, so it's possible. Also, we lost a follower. RIP, I guess. Whatever. I guess they hate me. No. But yeah, follow on the YouTube, follow on the TikTok, follow on the Spotify. Leave a like. Don't be a hater, and don't leave a dislike. If you dislike this episode, you can literally hit me up and catch it. You can catch the crash out. No, I'll be cool. I'll be nice. I really will appreciate you just listening and hopefully offering a valid critique. Wouldn't that be nice? Some constructive criticism. How refreshing. Or not, I really don't care. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring, though that's a bold thing. I get it. You don't want to share some shitty guy's amateur podcast. That's okay. I understand. I get it. No pressure. But it can be fun. No, but also you can leave if it's Spotify or Apple for podcasts, whatever the fuck they're calling it today, 5 stars. That's also good. Don't lowball me, okay? I get it. This is amateur hour. Don't you dare fucking try to Sandman me. All right, that'd be whack of you. Anyway, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. Who fucking cares? Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.